Okay, so let's work on problem 1618 together today. This is a refunding decision. Apparently, Robinson Corporation has $43 million of bonds outstanding that were issued at a coupon rate of 11.75% 7 years ago, and interest rates have fallen to 10.75%, and we're looking at refunding them. There's quite a few details here in the problem that we'll get to as we work through this problem. And you should be reading problem 1618 to make sure you can follow with all of the things what we'll be doing on this problem. It's relatively complicated, so make sure that you're following it. The first question, letter A, is to compute the discount rate, and we're told in the problem assume the discount rate is equal to the after-tax cost of new debt rounded up to the nearest whole dollar. The after-tax cost or the discount rate of new debt will be its yield times 1 minus the tax rate. So I'll make that calculation right here. The current yield is, or the yield on the new debt is 10.75%. So plus 0.1075 times 1 minus the tax rate. And according to the problem, Robinson Corporation has a tax rate of 30%, so that's 0.3. And we'll go ahead and enter. Now the problem also says that we need to, at the very end here, assume the discount rate is equal to the after-tax cost of new debt rounded up to the nearest whole number. So we're going to use 8% here instead of 7.53%. The nearest whole number would be 8%. So keep that in mind as we're going through the calculations. The next thing we need to do is calculate the outflows associated with refunding this. And there are a number of outflows. First, probably the largest outflow is the payment on the call provision. Okay, according to the problem, the original bond indenture contained a 5-year protection against a call with a 9% call premium starting in the 6th year and scheduled to decline by 0.5% each year thereafter. Consider the bond to be 7 years old for purposes of computing the premium. So according to our chart, then, on the 7th year, there would be an 8.5% call premium on the bonds. Okay, so the payment on the call provision would be $43 million, which is the outstanding amount of the bond. And our call premium rate is 0.085. Format. Okay, which is 9% minus 0.5% because it's it has been called 7 years, within 7 years. So we multiply those two. And we have a call premium of $3,655,000. Now, that's before taxes. We're going to be able to write off this expense from a tax standpoint. So the next thing we need to do is calculate this number times 1 minus the tax rate, because this will be our actual after the tax savings. This is our after-tax cost. On that call provision. So that's an outflow. That's our actual cash outflow after taxes are taken into consideration. We also have our next big expense, which is the underwriting costs on the new issue. Alright, and the new issue will cost us, according to the problem, the underwriting costs on the new issue will be 1.7% of the total bond value. So So we have the total bond value, 43 million, and we have underwriting costs of 1.7%. So to calculate that, we just simply multiply these two things together. Times, that's $731,000. Now we're going to be amortizing these costs, underwriting costs, over the lifespan of the bond. And in our case, the lifespan of the bond is an additional 17 years, according to the problem. The bonds have 17 years left to maturity. So to calculate the amount of amortization each year, we have this many years left on the bonds. So to calculate their amortization cost, we simply divide $731,000 by the number of years that are left remaining, and then we can calculate our tax savings per year. And the tax savings per year is going to be this $43,000 times 0.3, which is our tax rate. So we will each year generate $12,900 in tax savings. Now we'll have to consider, first of all, this is our actual outflow of cash, and then we need to calculate what our present value of these future tax savings are in order to determine what our net cost of underwriting. So our actual outflows, or actual expenditure, is $731,000 less the present value of our future tax savings will give us our net cost of the underwriting expense. Alright, so to calculate the present value of the future tax savings, we're going to use our discount rate of 8%, and we can do this on our calculators, so keep that in mind. We can do this on our calculators. So get our calculators out, and remember what we do. We clear everything, and then we push the second button and clear time value of money. And we have an annuity here, right? So N would be 17, so I'm going to type 17 and N. And then let's see, interest rate, IY, is going to be 8%. The present value is what we're computing, so we're going to skip that. The payment, remember we're calculating the present value of the tax savings. The tax savings each year are $12,900. That goes into payment, so I push my payment button, and future value will be 0. Now I can compute present value, and I get $117,669. The net cost of my underwriting expense then would be $731,000 minus the present value of future tax savings. Our net cost of the underwriting expense then is $613,331. So my total outflows for this would be my original after-tax cost for the payment on the call provision plus my net cost of the underwriting expense. Total outflows are $3,171,831.